William Hutchison Murray, a Scottish writer, once said that the moment one definitely commits oneself, then Providence moves too. All sorts of things can occur to help one that would never otherwise have occurred. Whatever you can do, or dream you can do, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it.
Let me take you on a little journey through our childhood. My brother Justen and I were born and raised for most of our lives in the small college town of Champaign, Illinois, the home of the Fighting Illini and the sandwich chain Jimmy John's. But most importantly, the place where our filmmaking dreams were born.
We were born 4.5 years apart, so in order to hang out with my big brother, I had to do what he did. So as far back as I can remember, I would join Julien in watching TV shows like Power Rangers, all sorts of Japanese anime, and each and every Marvel movie that would screen in the theaters during our childhood.
Our filmmaking journey began with just a webcam and iMovie app on our home computer, and a little bit of imagination. I was the big brother, right? So I did what big brothers do best, and I bossed Justen around. So I would boldly challenge Justen to make things teleport, disappear, and even make people levitate. And Justen, being the brilliant one that he is, would rise to the occasion every time. Within months, we convinced our parents to upgrade our equipment to flip cameras. And then we take our ventures out into the neighborhood and cast our friends in silly videos about virtually anything. But that's what made it so fun. And that's when it became clear to us that boldness has genius in it.
You see, in 2012, I was a 10-year-old fifth grader when our family decided to relocate to a town right outside of Columbus, Ohio, Pickerington to be exact. This meant we had to make new friends and integrate into a new community. At the time, though, I was pretty preoccupied with figuring out all this filmmaking stuff. So I spent most of my time studying YouTube tutorials and trying out new filmmaking techniques.
I, on the other hand, was just a 14-year-old freshman starting both high school and high school football. So my transition was a bit more difficult since all my peers had grown up together, and I was just a new kid from Illinois. I also quickly realized, because of the more diverse hometown my family had just left, my brother's perspectives and mine were quite different than most. So we had to figure out how to introduce ourselves in a bold and memorable way, and we decided to do this through our next projects.
From doing a fantastical short film about us fighting over meal leftovers, to another about an extra credit Santa Claus assignment that involved ninjas and elves, we introduced our style, our humor, our interests, and our experiences all in our own way. And it actually worked. We soon gained new friends and a growing village of believers. Consequently, the possibilities of what we could create increased exponentially. Boldness has power in it.
In December of 2015, we were now 17 and 13, and we were ready to step up our game.
Yes, literally on Christmas Day, my brother and I announced to the world, via YouTube of course, our formal partnership as a filmmaking duo, ready to take our projects to the next level, whatever that meant.
Such a bold proposition, however, required an equally daring set of actions. We had no money, and we had no connections, but we knew from our parents that extraordinary results only came from being willing to put in the extra work. So we bet on it, believing that if we just got started,
and if we put in the work, Providence would have to move too. So we began by creating a vision statement that's inspired by a verse from the book of Proverbs. Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves.
This vision reflected in large part my experience of moving from a small majority-minority middle school in central Illinois to a large suburban high school in central Ohio, and realizing that the stories of my mostly black and brown middle school friends represented life challenges that we rarely now heard in our new friend groups. So we became driven to create images and tell underrepresented stories that are entertaining, inspiring, and uplifting.
Our first efforts would involve developing a cinematic universe that mirrored the world of our hometown friends, who were like heroes to us because of their perseverance and resilience. But in our alternate universe, their characters would have true superpowers.
To do this, we took a page from America's history and created a world where the practice of eugenics during slavery, that is the practice of breeding the strongest and fastest slaves, produced a dormant superhuman gene. And the superpowers these urban descendants developed would be shaped and revealed by traumatic experiences in their lives. This was our creative interpretation of saying that which does not kill you makes you stronger.
We had big goals, feature films, TV series, sequels. But without big money, what do? You do a short film. So our first short film in this universe, entitled Foreshadow, is centered around a young black vigilante who's gifted with the supernatural ability to see into the future. We produced every aspect of this film, and we funded it solely with monies earned from selling t-shirts, donations, and the monies I now earned as a very fortunate 8th grader who became the entrusted videographer for my brother's high school football team. But we got it done.
And in the summer of 2016, at the ages of now 18 and 14, our short would win in the youth category the very first film festival in which we submitted. Nonetheless, our parents thought it was more important for us to grow rather than win. So moving forward, we only submitted this project to adult categories so we can really experience what next level filmmaking looks like.
In 2016, the national stories of the 2 police shootings of Philando Castile and Alton Sterling weighed heavily on us as young black men. By then, Julien was now a freshman at Morehouse College and I a freshman in high school. It troubled us to hear the polarizing commentary and see the disturbing footage that was on replay all day.
So in early 2017, during our winter break, we filmed our 7-minute artistic take and commentary on the universal fears in the African American community that these and past police shootings of young unarmed black men provoked. Now, we would go on to shoot this project with no budget, in 2.5 days, in single-digit weather, with 5 volunteer actors and our parents' crew. But we were willing to do whatever it took and put in that extra work because we believed this was a project that could create dialogue and invoke empathy.
But listen to this. In the middle of the first night of the shoot, we hear sirens from a distance. Before we knew it, we were surrounded by 4 police cruisers and staring down the barrel of multiple police officers' guns, all while being told to put our hands up.
Fortunately, over one of the police radios, though, a voice breaks the tension. They're good, they're filmmakers. Apparently, there was a miscommunication between our sheriff's office and our city police. Now, whenever we shoot, we carry around a large sign that reads, "Filming in progress." I'm talking about life imitating art. This project, though, will go on the screen at 5 international film festivals and win a few festival awards. But most importantly, our daring endeavor will ultimately change the trajectory of our journey.
Now, fast forward to August of 2017, and we're now in Vineyard Haven, Massachusetts, at the Martha's Vineyard African American Film Festival. Boldly, our family decided to travel 11 hours by car, bus, and boat, all just to get to the screening of a 7-minute short film. We had no idea what to expect, but we remembered, extraordinary results require extra work.
Right. And sure enough, over a period of less than 48 hours, we will meet the one and only Morehouse man and Oscar-winning director, Spike Lee. And we will connect with representatives from none other than Sesame Street. Now, we have to admit, at the time, we weren't too sure what to think of this chance meeting. Our film was about some serious stuff, so Sesame Street?
Yes, Sesame Street. But when you move forward boldly, remember, all sorts of things occur to help one that would never otherwise have occurred. So not knowing where this might lead, we thought, let's go.
And little did we know that we would soon learn that boldness could really unleash magic too. It's now November 2nd, 2017, and I decided to do some extra credit for my biology class at Morehouse, which involved me creating a 2-minute rap video about meiosis and mitosis. And I cannot make this up. Within minutes of me posting this on social media, the video will go viral, eventually amassing millions of views on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. And I would go on to make television appearances from Good Morning America to TMZ to MTV.
Julien's video is still being played in science classrooms across the country today. Remember Sesame Street? Well, it turns out that around that same time, Sesame Street commissioned us to do a live-action short film. So the news of us being the youngest filmmakers to be tapped by Sesame Street went viral too. And we would soon enjoy more national exposure from platforms including CNN and the New York Times.
Before we knew it, we were visiting with execs at major studios in LA and shopping our first feature script. But after a few months and weeks of no follow-ups or follow-throughs, we had come to a crossroads. What next? How do we become the next Russo brothers, Hughes brothers, or Duffer brothers? So Justen and I decided to start our own crowdfunding campaign to raise funds for our feature script. Yep. In 2018, at the ages of now 20 and 16, we embarked on a campaign to raise a cool $1 million. And guess what?
We didn't meet the mark. In fact, we only raised $5,000. But thanks to our parents and our village of believers, we didn't give up. Instead, we switched gears, and we focused on raising enough funds to make the best short film possible.
Making this mental shift led us to raising the most money we had ever had to work with on a project at that point, nearly $50,000. We would go on to produce Nia Shadow, a short story about a young African-American woman with superpowers.
To date, this film has screened at international film festivals from Harlem, New York to Los Angeles, California. It's important to add, though, that although our films have been screened at nearly 20 film festivals over the last 5 years, they've been rejected by over twice as many others. That's nearly 20 acceptances and over 50 rejections.
Not feel-good stats, right? After finishing Nia Shadow, I was heading into my senior season of college football, and on a whim, I applied for this really cool content summer internship in Oregon with Adidas. And by the end of my internship, one of my projects would make it to the desk of the president of Adidas North America. And he would soon introduce me to a black fashion entrepreneur. And honestly, I had no idea what was going to come out of this connection. But Providence was moving.
When March 2020 came around, I was preparing to head to either Morehouse College or USC School of Cinematic Arts, where I hoped to join Julien.
And I was making plans to head out to USC as a graduate film student. But unfortunately, COVID hit. Consequently, we both stayed at home in Columbus, Ohio to wait COVID out while we continued to work on our craft and attend school virtually. And as the only African-American male in my USC class during my first semester, I was more determined than ever to push forward.
Now remember, summer 2020 proved to be the height of the pandemic and racial tension stemming from the death of George Floyd. So we felt compelled to act boldly.
So we decided to host a peaceful protest in partnership with a good friend of mine. This event attracted hundreds of people where, among other things, local politicians spoke and we distributed PPE in the community.
And while we were doing this, a small little brand by the name of Beats by Dre was moving forward with their own initiative to give minorities like us an opportunity to tell our stories through their inaugural Black Creators Program.
Providence was moving. We were selected to be a part of a group of young Black creatives who were challenged to create works that boldly addressed our current socio and political climate.
This led to our latest sci-fi short film, Club Ally, a fantastical narrative about the plight of minorities in America. Another social commentary, if you will.
Providence will move again a few months later after the release of Club Ally, when I would receive a call from none other than our Adidas Connection, owner of urban fashion boutiques A Ma Manière, Social Status, and more.
Not only had he seen what we'd done, but he wanted to partner with us in telling underrepresented stories that entertained, inspired, and uplifted. And since then, we've produced 2 short films for his shoe collaborations with none other than Air Jordan and Nike.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. So, while we have yet to achieve the ultimate goal of our big screen debut, we are encouraged and determined because we've already seen Providence move on our behalf, and we've already seen our extra work pay off. So we encourage you too to be bold, because your boldness has genius.
Your boldness has power.
And your boldness has magic. And with our handful of feature film scripts and treatments, and with our endless stories to tell, we will continue to put in the work and move forward boldly.
No, we are not William Hutcherson Murray, nor do we live in the 20th century. So if I were to put this in words that the 9-year-old Justen would understand,
and in words that the 13-year-old Julien would follow too, we would say,
your boldness
is your superpower. My name is Julien Turner.
My name is Justen Turner.
And we are
the Turner Brothers.